So we're asked, let f of x equal this function. I'm going to know, how does f change signs at x equals -1? So let's go ahead. If we take f at -1, okay, what we see is we get -1 to the third minus -1 squared plus -1 plus 3. This gives me -1 minus 1, okay, minus 1 plus 3. So that's, of course, -3 plus 3, or 0. So what that tells us is that f at -1 is 0, meaning that the function at -1 must have an intercept. Now here's the question. Are we coming like this in yellow and crossing like that? Are we coming like this in blue and crossing like that? Or is it the case that we're doing something like this, where we're coming down and coming back up? Or are we coming from the bottom and then coming back down? So there's 4 possibilities. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to test, we're going to test f prime, okay, at -1. Now really, to see if it's doing one of these curved things right here, like that, is we should test f prime just to the left and just to the right, okay? We also, if it is doing one of these curved things in here, I suppose we wouldn't even need to do that, because f prime at -1 would end up being 0 at one of these two guys. Now if f prime is negative, so let's just delete some of this stuff here. If f prime is negative, then that means that we're headed down like this. If f prime is positive, that means we're headed up like this. If f prime is 0, that means that we have a flat tangent line, okay? And so we don't know necessarily whether it's going like this or like this, and we'd have to do some more testing. So let's go ahead and figure out what f prime is first. So f prime of x, well, that's just the derivative of this guy, which is 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. So f prime at -1 would be 3 times -1 squared minus 2 times -1 plus 1. That's 3 times 1 plus 2 plus 1, which is 3 plus 2 plus 1, or 6. So what does 6 tell us? Well, 6 tells us that we must be increasing. Our slope must be positive. So if I go back here and I start looking at which guy it is, it's got to be this purple guy right here. Because our slope, right at that point, our slope is positive, which means we're increasing. So the function should look something like this. And if we go ahead and we graph it out, let's just take a look real quick here. Go to my y equals, and we'll punch that guy in. So x to the third minus x squared plus x plus 3. Graph that guy out. There it is. At -1, we're headed uphill, just like we said.